What's up, guys? King Richard bringing you my ESO Dual Will Resto Staff Magicka Sorcerer build. I'm running Red Guard. Plenty of races work with this build, preferably High Elf and Breton. Those are my two choices for this build. Either way, you can't go wrong. But I am a Red Guard and I make this build work. I'll show you guys some footage of the build in action and some upcoming videos. And you can always catch me on twitch.tv/KingRichard15 if you want to see live gameplay of this build. Now, our stats: 34k maximum magicka, 22k maximum health, 15k max stamina, 1400 magic recovery. Here's the kicker: the spell damage, 2.8k spell damage, almost 2.9k. Unbuffed, that's unbuffed spell damage. That gets to about 3,500 spell damage, and that's without Magicka. And you get it a lot higher. The Mundus you want to run is the Atronach. You need that recovery. This build can also be ran with drinks. I actually like to run this build with drinks over food most of the time in PvP, but that is totally up to you how you want to run this build. Now, let's hop into the gear sets. We are running 5 pieces of Kagrenacs Hope. That's chest, boots, legs, gloves. One of our dual wield weapons is Kagrenacs, and our Resto is Kagrenacs. You don't really need the spell damage bonus on your Resto staff because your Resto staff is going to be used for buffing purposes mainly, so you don't need that extra Toruqs pack. You only get the Toruqs pack bonus from your dual wield. So we're running 5 Kagrenacs, 2 Toruqs pack, 2 Engine Guardian, head and shoulders. The Toruqs pack is on a belt and your dual wield, because that's where you want to buff your spell damage at most. Your dual wield is your DPS bar. And then we are running 3 willpower. That's necklace and 2 rings. And we have spell damage enchants on all of our accessories. I'm able to maintain my resources well. If I have any issues, I just swap the drink and it clears it up for me. This build is really, really strong. And then infused as the trait on all the big pieces. So that's infused chest and legs. If you can get an infused helmet, that's really good also. I don't have infused, so I went divines. And then divines on the small pieces. So belt, boots, gloves, all divines. So that's pretty much the gear sets. Some things that you can do, and why I set this up like this. What you can do is run a Destro staff of Kagrenacs Hope and remove dual wield, and then slot the Destro staff of Kagrenacs Hope, and then remove your Engine Guardian helmet, toss on a Toruqs pack helmet. I know I have one. Yeah, toss on a Toruqs pack helmet so you get your spell damage bonus with your Destro staff, and then go shoulders, Magicka, or you can swap it around: Toruqs pack, shoulders, helmet, Magicka, whatever you have. That's the end goal. I don't have those sets right now, but that's what I want to run. I want to run this dual wield Resto setup with 1 Magicka, 1 Bloodspawn. So that's my goal. But you guys can make changes to the build to fit your needs. Let's hop into the skills. Our number 1 ability, Endless Fury on a dual wield bar. This is your execute. Zos, please fix this ability because a lot of the times it's unreliable. However, it doesn't cost much and it can be used to proc your Crystal Frag. You really want to have that available. And when it does work, it is effective, but a lot of the times it's not effective. But Endless Fury is as your execute. Number 2, Inevitable Debt. The dual wield setup is for burst DPS. You want to have Inevitable Debt. This is a 13k AoE dot. It's really strong. Crystal Fragment. 13k Crystal Fragment. That's unbuffed, people. Unbuffed. 13k Crystal Fragment. And if I was buffed up, I can get an extra 40% damage on that. So I can get this to 20k with this particular build. This build hits really hard. And this is on the ORSINIUM patch, guys. So they made some changes to dual wield. Degeneration, you can also run Structure Entropy. It doesn't matter which morph you run. Structure Entropy will give you a better overall benefit than Degeneration. But if you swap the Destro staff, you can get healed by your light and heavy attacks, by your weapon attacks. Curse is your number 5 ability. This is going to go hand in hand with inevitable debt. You want to put that on, put your curse on, and try and proc a frag, hit Endless Fury, drop your Atro if you can. Atro is the ultimate. The reason why I have Atro here is when you buff this up, you get the 20% bonus. This Atro, just summoning it, if you hit somebody with it, it's going to do about 9k DPS. And that's really high. And then it also lasts for 25 seconds. And it can like even the odds in 1vx situations. So I have Atro there. On to our Resto bar. Daedric Minefield. This is to keep melee fighters out of your face. Make people think twice about attacking you. And it also does a ton of damage. 8k every time you touch one of those mines. And it also roots Streak. This is an AoE stun. And this is also for your mobility and your escape. Healing Ward. Healing Ward is really good because it's a really huge damage shield and it heals you for whatever is left over. So if you shield stack properly, you will be really hard to kill. Harness Magicka. This is going to mitigate a lot of damage for Magicka builds. This is another damage shield. Hardened Ward. This is one of the best abilities in the game. And this is one of Sorcerer's trump cards. You definitely want to have that slotted at all times. That's going to keep you alive. That's about a 10k damage shield. Energy Overload. Now, the reason why I have this as my ultimate, it's good single target DPS. It's good AoE DPS. It can be used to proc Magicka if you do have Magicka. And it hits really hard and it restores your Magicka. So if you get low on Magicka, you could pop in an Overload, and while you're attacking, you'll get your Magicka back just from attacking. So I'll show you how I got that bar set up. Now, for my Overload bar, I have, you want to remove Daedric Minefield, you want to put Restraining Prison or Rune Cage there, whatever. Dark Dill, this is for your mobility. What I like to do is, especially when I'm in a source, I'm running around, you could just sprint away all your stamina. As long as you have Dark Dill on, you'll get it right back with Dark Dill. So that's a part of escaping. Like, you get chased by Zergs, a lot of times you can't rely 100% on Streak to get away. You can pop your streaks until you get to the point where you're exhausting your resources. Get into Overload and then sprint away, and then get your resources back as you need. Thundering Presence, of course, that is a spell resistance armor buff, and it also gives you increased movement speed. Shuffle, really good. It gives you dodge chance, and it also gets you out of snares. So if people want to spam snares on you, just get your Shuffle on, and then get your resources back, and now you got a 20% dodge chance on top of all those damage shields. And it's easy to get in and out of your Overload bar once you master it. Hardened Ward, just in case you're doing those light attacks and you take a little damage. In the middle of that, you can toss on a Hardened Ward and get back to light attack and get your Hardened Ward on. And then if you get in trouble, get out, do a full shield stack, and you are good to go. That's how I run this build, and it's really effective. Got some video evidence to prove that I'm not just talking when it comes to this Magicka build. It is the real deal, and if you get Magicka and Bloodspawn with the dual wield setup like I want, oh my god, you will be so much better. It'll put you at over 3k unbuffed spell damage and almost 4k with Magicka and Entropy. So that's basically it. Let's hop into the champion point setup. Now this is key. 20% on your cost reduction. Why? Or 20 points into cost reduction for Magicka abilities. The Magician. Only 20% or only 20 points because you get what passive is that? An Unholy Knowledge. That 6% that you get stacks with the 5% from Unholy Knowledge, so you get over 10% cost reduction. Once you get 10%, it kind of starts to give you diminishing returns, and it starts to be less important than Arcanist. Because the more you put in Arcanist, the more of a benefit you get. So 100 in Arcanist, just pump your recovery as much as you can. I got 21 in a Tumbling. I am a rig guard. If you ever watch me play, I dodge roll more than anybody, any sorcerer in the game. 1 in the Bless, 1 in the Elemental Expert, 1 in the Spell Erosion. And then you want to put 27 in the Elfborn at least to unlock spell Precision. You can pump into Staff Expert if you want to. If you want to use a Destro Staff, you can also pump into Elemental Expert if you want to use a Destro Staff. Thaumaturge, I pump into that because that's where most of my DPS comes from, magic abilities. And the red tree, here's another important tree, Hardy. If you're a Magicka build, you say you want to run an ability like Caltrops, put 120 points into this tree to unlock Unchained. Other than that, you want to try and get around 15% in Hardy, because that's going to basically translate into a Magicka build doing 15% less damage on you overall. And then 100 in a Bastion. Once you get 100 in a Bastion, just pump in a Hardy. That's how I run my setup, and it works really well for me. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. You can come check me out live at twitch.tv/KingRichard15.